Hey guys, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen at the blow-in this year. We're working on what's called a Gravesly Imperial Model D tractor. And for those of you that didn't know this, Gravesly licensed manufacturing of Model D tractors to other companies in England. So there's a whole horde of Graveslys that are made in England that they call English Ds. This one here is called an Imperial D, which is a little bit different, and it's much newer than Model Ds that were made in the United States. This one happens to be a 1955 tractor. By that time, Model L Gravesleys were in existence, and the Model Ds were pretty much obsolete. In the US, they started making Model Ls in the late 30s, and by that time, no one cared about a Model D anymore. In England, they still were using them, and a real Model D does not have reverse. It only has forwards, and it has kind of a crude system of I don't know how you explain it, but it's like a modern snowblower has on the handlebar, where there's a lever that hangs underneath the handlebar that you pull up on. Well, this Imperial Model D, the way I understand it is that the people in England didn't want, to have these Model Ds be trashed, so they designed it to be more competitive with, tractors of that era. And what they did is they put reverse in the thing, and they made the forward reverse lever go on the handlebar almost like a Model L would be. And they were hoping they could sell more of these units into later years. So to our knowledge, there's only two of these things in the United States. The one that you're going to see here came from Iowa, and I think the story goes that a guy put a picture of it on Facebook, and some guys from the tractor club saw it, and the guy didn't know what it was. It was just in a barn, and this guy took it apart and tried to restore it. And he soon realized that he was in over his head, and he decided to sell the project. So a guy from our club owned it currently, and it was all taken apart. And at our blow-in here, the main project was putting that together. I didn't pay attention to it the whole time. There was all kinds of little projects going on. I was helping a couple guys rebuild some magnetos and some carburetors and some other standard stuff. And there was a different group of guys that was really working on the Model D. Our buddy Dick was doing a snowblower rehab in the back. And there's just all kinds of little projects. And the best part is that we probably had 60 or 70 people come. And it's just fun to hang out with everybody and talk and work on stuff together. That's what the club's all about. So I hope you enjoy this video.
That's a delay because we have a few special guests. Nonetheless, they're special guests, and I'm not even going to mention that. But I'd like to introduce from where? Wisconsin? Way, way out west where it actually gets cold. There's a lot of love going on here, and they'll come back at me, I am sure. Bob, damn, I got it wrong. And Dan, whose name I never, ever remember. All right? Bob is the sales guy, so to speak, for the Aaron's Museum, who spends a lot of time these days looking for things. So he is looking at the crowd, wondering what you guys have. All right? He's trying to get that from you. All right? So be very careful of this man. He's also got that sweet smile, and he's going to win you over and talk you out of your precious good stuff. Dan is the actual guy who gets things done. So he'll actually take a piece and restore it for the museum. And he's done some beautiful work. And you'll see him here studying bolts and screws and how this thing actually goes together.
Yeah, keep turning with the drill.
I was going to say crank it really good too.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Goes away.
Yeah.
Degrades.
Yeah. I'm wondering, try a condenser? If we can find one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it.
D almost back together here. Looking good. A nice tractor here for my friend Kyle that likes 1138s a lot. Too bad he's not here to buy it. This is a beautiful tractor here. Amazing. Look at this thing. Wow. Some D's. A bunch of stuff here, huh? The 5260 over here. The cutaways. They're always fun. Got my buddy John. Cool.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello. Can we get a picture, please? Can everybody file in behind these three gentlemen? 2 plus Bob. Can everybody? Keep working with your friends. That's one of the hobbies. Keep working with your friends. And with that, I'll introduce Bob.
Sure, a few words. First of all, it's great that we were able to make it here this year. The weather forecast worked in our favor on both ends. There's not a blizzard on our end, there's not a blizzard on your end. And we've always been looking forward to this. Ever since we came to the first mowing in 2016, the interest and, if you want to call it, passion that we've had for the Gravesly brand, the old Gravesly brand, has increased dramatically. This year, with the key being the Imperial, and its coming of age around here a little bit, has brought our interest even that much more, because if we're able to get one, it'll probably give us the breadth of the whole line that was Gravesly on the Model D. From we have a water-cooled one all the way through, then we'd have through the Imperial. And so we're trying to build the Gravesly tractor in our museum, tractor factory in our museum. After the Gravesly D is done, we're trying to work into doing how many of the unique kind of L's are there out there. So along with that, we've also found out that history of the product is, I'll say, scattered. Everybody's got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And what we're trying to do now is, if we can, whoever, I'll give out my email address anytime anybody wants it, write down what you know. You don't have to be a Shakespeare, for God's sakes, we don't care about that. We want to know what you have as far as a contribution to that history. And compiling it together, send back what we can, our best effort of that compiling to each one of you that contributed. You edit what you think you see out of it. I'd like to go and give it back to John Danforth afterwards. And in a series of articles with inside of the Gazette, you can see the history of the D as we all know it to be. And that's the aim of where I'm at right now with this part of my contribution into the music. So again, if anybody wants, I'll give out my email address and let's get the ball rolling. Does anybody have any questions in this regard? Okay, thank you very much. And again, we're having a blast here. Getting back to know people, getting back to rejuvenate friendships that we've had, and starting to put faces to phone calls and voices and all that kind of stuff, which is part of the deal. We always had a history of the Aaron's Company, right? We didn't have a history of the product of the Gravesly Company. We did to a certain degree, but in the book that we have now, that's the Gravesly history book, it was basically the leaders from Ben all the way down to where Aaron's Company purchased the company itself. And we had a brilliant knight that worked for him, Mr. Yankee, some might say Yankee, no, it's Yankee, is from Brilliant originally. His dad was the custodian at the high school, lived right across the street, and that's the school that I went to, and I saw Pops Yankee every single day in the hall. And that's a part of my history that I got attached to you guys, and I didn't even know it. So,
Okay,
it's
Bob,
pretty cool.
I was up at the factory one time and I saw your oldies downstairs. I don't know if it was a bomb shelter or where, but it was a basement.
Oh, somebody took you in the basement.
And
Interesting.
they had many, many pieces of Gravely and Aaron's spaced about 1 inch apart. I can't believe how much work they have done in coming up with a current Gravely Aaron's museum. They've truly done a beautiful job.
Thank you, John.
And-
Appreciate it.
And I've seen some equipment that was in the rough, and, where is he?
Right here.
That guy?
That guy.
The guy keeps hiding in the back.
It's hard to do.
He's
Considering
done phenomenal work in refurbishing equipment that is there. And anybody that's here that has a chance to go to that museum, I think you will really be amazed. They are working their butts off.
As you all know, this kind of stuff takes time. And the time for Aaron's is with Gravely is 1984. And we do okay with that, but from 1922 to 1984 is a long time. And that kind of building up that area is very, very difficult. And that's why today we're asking, we want to make a little easier down the road, because that's what history is in a museum. It's the telling the story. And that's what, we have a brand new museum manager. She's a gearhead. She drives Harley Davidsons. So the girl can't be all bad. She's also got a lot of broken legs, she says, because of it. And she knows the story. It has to be told in the right way, so that when people come here, they actually learn something. They just don't look at a machine and walk away. They actually learn something from it. And we archive it. I told them the other day, we have 6 very, very, very expensive fireproof vaults. And they're full. And we're going to get another one. And that one's probably going to have a lot more Gravely in it than anything else. So the archive and legacy of what you guys have all tried to keep alive is going to be with us. And it's going to be short. And if you have a question, call up. We'll have somebody probably go to the archive and look it up for you and probably give you an answer. At least we hope we can. But you get the gist of what we're kind of looking with regards to history. Like, why did they change from cleats to something else? That's a model change, all things considered. And just because somebody carved it on the wooden wall in the shop, and the next day they use it for burning wood in the doggone fire because it was winter, well, guess what? That history's out the window, you know? So, and that's what you live with. You know, that's what you live with a company that evolved from basically nothing, with the grace of Ben. So, again, thanks for being here. It is a hoot for both myself and Dan. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Yes, and I'll hold your back, make sure you've got 911, somebody hold the phone up. Doesn't seem like a really like snap.
All right, so here we're going to try to start the Model D. And the rule is that you pick a guy and he gets 3 pulls. And if it doesn't start, you go to the next guy and he gets 3 pulls. And eventually, if no one can get it started, then normally a belt start situation occurs, but let's see if she'll start.
I don't think Bob's gonna get that.
Can't say I didn't try.
Eric, where's Eric? You want 3?
He's getting his game face on.
We don't stand at the same level as the tractors.
Steve, sorry to erase that part of the video. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. The oil part's got to stick together. Don't get your respect at all. Not at all.
I'll tell you what, let me take the wire off. Go ahead. I don't see it. Yeah.
On your own couch.
Wow.
Joe, you want to do some kibble stew in there, John?
So that's his third try?
Yep, I'm ready. Anybody?
Anybody?